What's going on, guys? Recently I was looking through my subscriber box and I found that Mr. Jamvat was doing a let's play for Pokemon Mystery Dungeon Explorers of Sky, and I guess that kind of inspired me to go back and play those games because I remember enjoying Red Rescue Team a lot when I was a little bit younger, and I thought, hey, maybe it's a good time to go back to these games and enjoy them again. So I picked up Pokemon Explorers of Darkness. I actually just got a ROM and I was playing it on my phone, and oh my goodness, some of the game design choices that were made here just boggled my mind, made me want to rip the hair from my head. Now don't get me wrong, I still really like the Mystery Dungeon series. I think it's probably one of the better Pokemon spin-offs, but yeah, I just want to express my thoughts real quick about some of the game design flaws in specifically the Explorer series for the Nintendo DS. I think that's it's 4th gen, whereas Red Rescue Team is 3rd gen, and I think like the 3DS title is, I'm pretty sure it's still 5th gen, though I'm not sure. Also, there's gonna be some spoilers for Pokemon Mystery Dungeon Explorers, so I mean, if you mind that, then I suggest clicking X in this video. So the first game design flaw that I ran into, I'm just like, what? Why is this a thing? Is evolving your starters. I actually thought that I would get to do this after beating Primal Dialga, because that's how it worked in Red Rescue Team. I actually forget like what the main storyline was for that game, but it was set up in a very similar way, where you beat like the main part of the story, and then once you get into the post game, you evolve the 2 starter Pokemon that you start out with. Well, in Explorers, it doesn't work like that. You actually have to go through the entire post game quests as well before you can evolve. And like, even after you beat Darkrai is the final boss, you still aren't evolved, which is just, it's, really, you should have been able to evolve your starter Pokemon after you graduated from the guild and are able to go to the Luminous Spring, because really, there's just no incentive to keep playing once you're actually able to evolve. Once you beat Darkrai, and even then, after you beat Darkrai, you have to wait another 6 days before you're able to evolve in Explorers of Sky. And if you're playing the previous 2 versions, Time and Darkness, you have it even worse, because even after waiting the 6 days, after you've beaten the entire game, you still have to go and recruit Palkia, which is a bitch and a half, going through the spatial rift again and fighting Palkia again. And then after you've done that, yeah, you can evolve now, but you've just beaten the entire game. You've done basically all that there is to do. Like there's like a couple like super dungeons that are just really not to my taste. I guess you can do them if you want, but that's like the only thing left to do. It's disgusting, because basically what ended up happening was it disincentivizes you to use the starters after Primal Dialga, because basically after beating Primal Dialga, you get the option to evolve everything except your 2 starters. So I don't know if I'm alone on this one or I just made a big mistake, but I just kind of decided, okay, I'm gonna ditch the starters until I get to evolve, because I didn't know when that would happen, and I'm just gonna I'm gonna actually make a whole new squad of fully evolved badasses, right? Because it also gives you the option to make other Pokemon the leader of your little squad of 4 that you carry around, so you no longer have to even use your starters in that point in the game. And then from there, Explorers just tumbles, because it lets you do the post-game quests, most of them, without your starters. So I assume that would be the case for the entirety of the post-game, and so I was okay with that. I was just using my squad of non-starter evolved Pokemon to run through the post-game. And then you get to Darkrai, you get to the Nightmare quest, and once again you're forced to use the starters, and I haven't used them since Primal Dialga, so they're like in the level 30s by the time I got to Darkrai. By the time I got to Darkrai, I was like level 41 with each, and it was disgusting. So that's just terrible, terrible game design. It's like knocking down one domino and the rest just come tumbling down. So they let you use other Pokemon and give you an incentive to not use the starters because you could evolve everything else. So who's not going to want the fully evolved Pokemon, right? And so, but then when it comes to the end, it forces you back into the starter Pokemon, even though it's very possible that you didn't train them after Primal Dialga and you just get destroyed. Now, and then I barely scraped by that battle. I had to like stock up on all sorts of like Doom Seeds, whatever, and all of that, healing items, Reviver Seeds, and I was just spamming that for the Darkrai battle around level 45. I finally beat him, and understand that Darkrai is a boss that people have trouble. Like, I was looking on the internet to see how people beat Darkrai, because obviously I was having a bit of trouble. And this is a boss that people were having trouble with in the level 90s, and I had to do it at level 45. And also grinding, like the level scaling can be a little bit slow towards the later part of the game, but I mean that's really how all Pokemon games are, so I won't really bag on it too much for that. So the whole post-game arc is just a bunch of terrible game design choices after another that in the end can really inconvenience the player without the player having done really anything wrong, in my opinion. Oh, and another thing is, like, your ally AI is stupid as hell. I thought the IQ stat would actually affect the AI, but no, it doesn't. I managed to max out like a couple of them, and they still acted really stupid. Like, I had a Lantern that would repeatedly try to use electric moves on ground types. And granted, there's really no immunities in Mystery Dungeon. Whenever you have an immunity, it just treats it as an extreme resistance. But still, this Lantern had access to water moves. Why not use those? They weren't out of power points either. So it just shows you that the AI is just really, really stupid and can't even determine basic things that are in the main series Pokemon games, such as thinking about types. It doesn't do that. And I'm just like, why? I don't understand. It just chooses moves at random. That really irritated me. Especially when it came to another point about the Darkrai fight, is Cresselia is retarded. I hate Cresselia. Actually, like, half the time I lost that Darkrai battle was not because I died, it was because Cresselia died, and she's essential. If Cresselia dies, you have to start over. So dumb. And then we're going to talk about some moves that are just completely overpowered in Mystery Dungeon, to the point where I'm like, why is this in the game? First one is Ominous Wind and Silver Wind. Not really Ancient Power, because Ancient Power, I think, isn't a spread move. But basically how it works with Silver Wind and Ominous Wind in Mystery Dungeon is that it hits from a distance and it covers like the entire screen, which means everything gets hit. So sometimes what would happen, and it still has the attribute of like boosting all your stats. I don't know if it's 10% like in the main series games. I don't think it is, because every time they would use it, they would just get boosts upon boosts. And so what would happen sometimes is, since the floors are randomized, you could go into a floor that was like really widespread. You can have a Xatu on literally the opposite extreme of the room you're in, and if you try to like walk across to get to him, every step of the way he can hit you with an Ominous Wind, getting boosts upon boosts sometimes, and you just never get to the other extreme of the room because you're dead if you don't have an extreme amount of like healing moves or healing items. And even then you could still die because it only takes like one boost, because the speed stat's also broken in this game, so it can just, if he boosts even once, he can just hit you with 2 Ominous Winds in a row, you don't get a chance to heal, and now you're dead. So Pokemon like Xatu, Lidian, and Mothim were like my most feared Pokemon in the game, because they had access to this completely gross move that, depending on the environment that you spawn in, can just kill you. Another move that really sucked to deal with, maybe not to the extent of Ominous Wind and Silver Wind, was Earth Power. Another one of those moves that can hit all of your Pokemon and can hit from a long range. I didn't have as much trouble with this one, not necessarily because the move itself was that much weaker, but the distribution really wasn't there. Like, I really only saw it on Nidoqueen in this one dungeon, and I tended to have a lot of ground resist, but whenever I did carry a team that was ground weak, it was a bitch to handle. And also the lack of the stat boosting attribute was pretty nice. This next one was just, why? I don't understand why they put this feature in the game. Now, I don't remember if this was in Red Rescue Team as well. I don't think it was. But there are certain, I don't remember what they're called. There's certain rooms that you enter, and without warning, they randomly spawn, like the whole room just filled with enemy Pokemon, and it plays some like crazy ass music as well. Usually you come in from like a really narrow corridor. If you try to like back yourself into the corridor that you came from in order to fight them 1v1, you just end up switching places with your partner, and then your partner just dies because you switched places with him and now he's in the room with all the enemies. Because it's very easy to get overwhelmed in Pokemon Mystery Dungeon unless you just grind like hell. Why? I don't understand why there was never a feature in which you could back up, like you have like your 4-man squad, kind of like a small train, why you can't just have them back up all at once. That would have made these kinds of rooms, which were a bad idea to begin with, a whole lot more manageable. So yeah, I still love Mystery Dungeon, I still love Pokemon, and really, it's a trial of love to play this game past its flaws. Friendly AI, completely stupid, the swarms of random enemies in some rooms that show up in the later portion of the game, completely stupid. Not being able to evolve your starters until after the Darkrai saga leads to a whole other bad game design choices that they made because of that. And then a few moves that I feel like were just unnecessarily powerful and effective at just wiping you out. So yeah, I guess this was more of like a vlog type of video, but I don't care. I wanted to say these things about Mystery Dungeon Explorers. I am going to play the 3DS one sometime in the future. I really hope it doesn't have as many problems as these set of games do. Please tell me in the comments if you've played the 3DS one. I don't remember what it was called, and if it's better, if that game learned from the mistakes of Explorers, then I am really down for that. And I'm also looking forward to playing Mystery Dungeon Super once that comes out. So I can't really tell y'all to like, comment, and subscribe for this, since it wasn't really content as much as it was just me ranting about things that irritated me about Mystery Dungeon Explorers. So yeah, I guess I'll see you all next time.